Let's talk about pricing your artwork to sell and all of the do's and the don'ts associated with pricing your artwork. So let's get started. It's Dena Tollefson. I'm so glad to have you here today. It's going to be a great topic. So if you are an artist and you're looking to sell your artwork and set your pricing at a point that you're going to sell and make money and have an art career and sell lots of art, you're in the right place. So be sure to watch to the end of today's video. There are a lot of strategies and tips that can help make your art career soar. So here's the first do. Do be reassured that every artist begins with 0 sales. Every artist starts at the beginning, and don't worry if you have not made any art sales yet. It will happen. Leonardo da Vinci, Andy Warhol, you named anybody, say Monet, everybody had to make their first sale and everybody had 0 at the beginning. So today's video can be your first step towards a successful art career with lots of art sales. So this next one is also a do. Do pay attention to your social media presence. And you might be wondering, what does social media presence have anything to do with art sales? Well, actually it has a ton to do with art sales, because this is a really, really important thing to know, is that art sales or selling artwork doesn't have a lot to do with your level of talent or your level of skill as an artist. What it really has to do with is your name recognition and what kind of a reputation you have as an artist. So what you say and what you do on social media strongly influences your reputation as an individual and as an artist. And collectors are out on social media looking to see how you react, what kind of things you're doing on social media, and those kind of things all shape their opinion of what do they think of you as an artist. So what you're doing here now out on social media, uploading your own content, doing live streams, videos, being active on, say, Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever platform works for you. Those are the ways that you're getting your name and building your brand, building your name recognition. So think about companies like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Starbucks. They are constantly doing marketing, social media marketing, and they're getting their name because they want the name Starbucks or they want McDonald's to be top of your mind. They want you to be thinking about that. Well, the same applies also as an artist. You're going to want collectors to be thinking of your name when they think about an artist. So I heard a quote once from a little tidbit, a quote from an art gallery owner where they were talking about how much social media time they wanted their artists to be spending. And this particular gallery owner is saying they want 60 to 70% of the artist's time to be spent doing social media, and in some cases even more. And so for you as an artist, then you're thinking, all right, that means 40%, 30%, maybe 20% of my time would be actually spent making artwork, and the rest of the time is really spent marketing artwork. So please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and give me a like, and please also ring the subscription bell so that you never miss any new content of things that can help you with your art career. So here's another do. Do keep your artwork prices consistent everywhere that you sell. So for example, let's say that you have an exhibit at a restaurant, in a local restaurant, and you have an 8x10 and it is priced at $100. But let's say in your studio you sell the same size 8x10, also original artwork, but let's say that you sell that for now $20 to somebody else. Well, people talk, and that is going to be a fast way to ruin your reputation, is to sell in different locations for different prices. So it's really, really important that whatever price that you set, you keep that consistent everywhere that you're selling. So the next one is a don't. So the thing to do, to not do, or don't do, is don't raise or lower your prices. Keep the price, you want to keep the price, start at a low number, and then slowly raise the price over the years. You want to go slow and steady and raise very slowly. And this might be the most important bit out of the video today, is the idea of not raising and then lowering your price. You want to raise slowly over time and then not lower. So I'm a full-time professional artist, and my originals are sold in art galleries throughout the United States. And I have been selling in art galleries since the year 2000. I also do licensing. So the thing that I do is I will only raise my prices if I can't keep up with the demand for artwork. So if I'm painting away, and here's an example of some of my artwork here. If I'm painting away and if the galleries are selling the artwork and I can't keep up, then and only then do I raise my prices. So you want to keep your prices low. And the reason for that is because one year you might be selling a lot of art, and then the next year not as much art is sold. And it might be tempting to maybe say, oh, let me cut those prices and to sell more art that year. But what can happen is that can cause confusion, a price confusion. So when someone buys your art, they're investing in you. And whether they're a rich person or they're a poor person, nobody wants to lose money when they buy something. So if they put their hard-earned money down in your artwork, let's say they put down $1,000, or let's say they put down $50, whatever it is that they put on your artwork, or that you sold your artwork for, they want to know that the same size and the same type of work of yours is going to hold its value. So that $50 piece of artwork, they want to know that the next year, the year after, it's still going to be worth $50. It's not going to be worth $30 or $20, but it's still going to be worth $50. And maybe over time, it's all of a sudden worth $100, $200, $1,000, $5,000. So that means not only was it a pleasure to own your artworks, that's what collectors are looking for. They want the value of your artwork to be growing. The fastest way to kill an art career, and this is what you don't want to do, is raise and then lower your prices. So you want to keep those prices low, raise them slowly. So I want to show you an example. This little 6x8 painting size of mine, back in the year 2000 when I was first selling my artwork through art galleries, this size 6x8 went for $75. And today, over the years, the prices have raised up slowly, and then over the years now this price in 2023 is $525. And so I've never lowered the price, but just slowly moved the prices up. So the collectors who bought at the low price are happy now, but imagine if you're a collector and you bought this painting at $525, and then you go the next year and you see on social media or you see at the gallery that all of a sudden the price on this painting is $300 or $200 or $100. You'd be annoyed. And that's what we want to try and avoid. So do keep your price list handy. So I have a price list that I keep out on my computer, and I also have a printout in case anybody comes by for a studio tour. Then I'll just hand them the sheet, and then they can go ahead and see the prices that are listed. They can take that home if they like. Include standard work and also commission prices in case they're different. So here is my price list for oils and acrylics, and here's my price list for watercolors. And I've got a different rate for the two because the galleries who represent me mostly sell my acrylics and oils, and they have gone, just for whatever reason, they've gone better for me over the years. And you might have the opposite happen. You might have it that, if you make both watercolors and oils and acrylics, it might be that watercolors are the things that sell the most for you. It's just a really individual thing. So if you are selling through a co-op or a pop-up or through Etsy, through a gallery, even through PayPal, they will all take a commission, and it varies depending on what venue it is. Now, if you're working through a gallery, for example, a gallery, in order to market your work and the sales staff and the building and the lights and all that kind of thing, they will take anywhere from 40 to 60% typically profit, and the most common percent is they'll take a 50% profit. So when you are pricing your work, you're going to want to make sure to include the cut for the gallery in your pricing model. So let's say, for example, you sold a painting for $500. The gallery would take a $250 profit, and then you would get the other $250 if it's a 50-50 split. And so you're going to want to know that when you are setting up your prices to accommodate that. And so that's in your model. Now, if instead of working with a gallery, you are going to do direct sales, for example, through an art festival, where you go and you have maybe a tent or a booth, and you have a stand, and then you have all of your artwork up at the festival, and you're selling directly to the public. Make sure to also, this is another do, is to make sure to also account for all of the costs that you may have associated with the festival. So you may have a booth fee. If you have your own tent or you have to rent a tent, there's going to be a cost associated with getting to and from the festival. If it's a multi-day event, then you would have lodging and food and that type of thing to account for. You want to think about all of that when you set up your pricing. And so in these other videos that I have in this series, I go through in detail of how to account for all of those things. So you'll want to be sure to catch those videos also. So then our next do is do consider free shipping. So if there's one thing that kind of can get people a little bit like, hey, do I really want to buy this or that type of thing, it might be shipping, because a lot of people don't understand how art shipping works and it might make them nervous. So if you can offer free shipping in your pricing model, that oftentimes can make the difference between a sale and no sale if you're selling directly. Is what you can do is you might have FedEx or DHL or UPS. If you haven't made any sales yet, what you can do is you could think of a couple cities that you might possibly be selling to or shipping to, and then contact your shipper and let them know. Let's say you normally make like 16 by 20 size. So accommodate for the box, so you'd have a larger box and know approximately what the weight is going to be and the dimensions of the box. And then you could call your shipper and you could say, hey, I'm interested in, what's the cost of shipping to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Tampa, Florida, and New York City, and then get an average of all of those prices. And so it might be maybe $20 and $30 and $40. Well, the average of 20 plus 30 plus 40 is $30. So you might say, all right, I'm going to tack on the cost of $30 onto my pricing and include free shipping. So it kind of all averages out then based on all of the shipping, and you can adjust that over time. That might be a nice way to estimate what your shipping might be. So I factor in my shipping costs along with my work. So example of like a really large painting like this, roughly 2/3 of the artwork that I'm shipping to galleries, roughly 2/3 of it needs to be sent through UPS ground. There are other things that are closer, the galleries that are closer by, I can just put those in the car and drive those by car. But I have a couple of galleries that are more than 200 miles away, and so those galleries, everything gets shipped. And so I will factor that into my price, knowing how much it costs to the art shipping box, and then the materials and the actual shipping cost. I'll factor that into my price. Okay, so this next one is a don't. Whatever you do, do not adjust your prices based on what you think someone can afford to pay for your artwork. That's kind of a kiss of death, because people talk and people will find out. And if the person doesn't have a lot of money, let's say that they don't have a lot of money and they can't afford your work, but they want your artwork, and let's say that you give them a really super low price, well, it's going to diminish their feelings about being able to own your work, because they'll feel like, hey, they thought I couldn't afford it. So let's say on the opposite direction, you're thinking, okay, I want to sell this piece of art to this person and they're really loaded, they're super rich, so I'm going to really hike up the price and charge a lot for that. Well, the news is on that is that the rich people do their research too. And so they are going to be like, hey, I got fleeced by this artist. If they even buy it at all, they're going to figure out very quickly that they could go buy it at this other location or online or through this other place. They could have bought that size in a much better price, and that's really going to be killing your art career. And they're not going to buy from you again, and people talk, and you don't want to have that, I guess, you don't want to have the bad vibes around. That's just not a good way to run business. So the key here is, let's say that you, for example, you have someone who can't afford your artwork, but they would like to own your art. So what you can do for them is you can say, let's say they like the big painting, what you can do is you can direct them towards the small painting. And let's say that they can't afford the small painting. Well, by golly, maybe they can afford a sketch, or something like maybe if you have one price on your oils and your acrylics, and maybe your watercolors or your prints or sketches, maybe those are lower priced, then what you could do is you could say direct them towards that. Let's say that all you do is drawing, but maybe you have some very super detailed drawings, and maybe some drawings that are more simple or smaller. Direct them towards the artwork that they can afford, and then everybody will be happy. So this next one is about framing and about acetate. And so if you are, this is really applicable either if you're working with a gallery or a co-op, something like that, or if you're making direct sales through art festivals or through your own website. Consider having a standard frame, or if you're doing things like watercolors, drawings, that type of thing, consider having always an acetate sleeve. Now, my work that I sell, I typically sell unframed and the edges are painted. So for me, it's not the framing isn't the thing to keep standard, but for those of you who are doing things, maybe watercolors and drawings, things like that, that might be framed, the benefits of having a frame are that you can charge more money for your artwork, so build that into your price. The other thing is that a frame will keep all of your work on your display looking cohesive and coordinated. If you're going to do acetate, for example, so acetate, using an acetate cover, if you have, for example, drawings, watercolors, that type of thing, and you're shipping them somewhere, shipping them to a collector or a client, shipping them to a gallery, or maybe you're at an art festival and you're selling directly to the public, if it's in an acetate, that's going to protect it from the elements and it will look more professional. And acetate, usually these little acetate sleeves are really inexpensive, but it adds that little extra professional, and you can even build that into your price. So our next do charge more for commissions. So commission work, which is different than your standard work. Your standard work is something that you're going to make just, kind of happens organically from you. Nobody's telling you what subject to make or what size to make. It just kind of flows from you naturally. So I typically have one price for my standard work, but then when it's a commission work, whether the gallery calls and says we have a client who wants a certain size, or they might want a certain subject but a different size or different colors, or they might say, I want you to paint X, Y, or Z, and I've never painted X, Y, or Z. That kind of thing can be kind of stressful. And so what I'll do is I will add anywhere from 20 to 40% more to the price because it is a commission. So if it's something where it's like, okay, make something similar to this but just different colors, it's like, okay, well, that's pretty simple, but it still gives you stress. So I'll add usually 20% to the price. But if it's something like radically different than what I typically ever make, or if the client is going to want to have a lot of approval cycles or wants to have a lot of input into how it looks, then I'll go ahead and say that the price is going to be 40% higher than whatever my standard price is. So I invite you to consider on your own work, if you would like to have additional charge for commission. You might be one of those people who only does commissions, in which case your standard work and your commission work would be the same. So I hope that these do's and don'ts have been helpful, and I also want to encourage you to watch part 2 of this series, where I'm going to take you step by step through the comparison model of how to price your artwork to sell. So until next time, it's Dena Tollefson, and all my best to you. Bye-bye.